Alright, so I just got back from the iron, and as you can see, I pressed these seam allowances down. What might be a good idea is that you, put that sleeve roll inside of this and just make sure that you press, you could possibly press from the outside too. As you can see, I have some gathering, a little bit of gather kind of ruffled pleat things that are occurring on the outside. That's okay. It really just kind of depends upon the style of the cuff that you want. So it's not the end of the world. Alright, then what we want to do is we want to come to the inside and try to fold and fit this this inside edge of the cuff. Now, because we had to do some fitting and easing of the outer edge of the cuff in here, we might actually need to do that for this part too, but we might be able to do that with just pinning. So what we need to do, and again, this is a raw edge that we have here, we need to fold this under. So give that a good fold under, probably 5/8 of an inch. Or you can kind of feel where that seam meets, and you can pick it up and pinch it, and then roll it under and set it down right on top. You can put a pin and put that in place. What you want to make sure is that when you fold that down, that it clears that seam that seam that you already have on there. So then while that's flat, you're going to want to go from the edge of the cuff and work your way back to where this fold line is. You want to make sure that this is going to lay flat. Alright, and then you're going to do the same thing, just working and folding, gently kind of rolling with your forefinger and your thumb, and just making sure that that fold line is clearing that stitch. That row of stitching that you had. Now when we get to this seam here, what you're going to want to do is kind of treat it like a present that you're wrapping for Christmas, and just fold in the corner for where everything meets, and then just gently roll that edge in along the inside. If you need to go back in and kind of remove some of that excess, you can. If you can get it to kind of work without removing it, that's fine too. I might see if I can come in and just trim that out a little bit more, because it is a little bulky. I don't want to get too close, just because I don't want any of the raw edges to fray and jump to the outside. So I'm kind of making an envelope corner with where everything is kind of meeting there, and then rolling under that excess from the interfaced side of the cuff, of the French cuff that we're doing. Alright, and then again, I just want to try to get that to fit as best that I can, trying to keep everything flat there. And I'm really putting some pressure to try to keep that flat as I stitch here. Then I'm just going to come back, got 2 pins, I'm going to come back in and put some pins in also. Then I'm just going to flip that around, flip my sample around, and I'm going to just continue folding and working my edges back. And if you need to, you can go in and trim up that other edge. Let's see how this is going to fit. A little manipulation is what we need. I want to make sure that those seam allowances stay down. And I think I might need to reposition my middle ones, because I'm having some of those gathers right about now. So I'm going to work from the outer edge and then kind of come back in. And again, making sure that when you fold that down, you clear that stitching. And it's pretty thick in there. Just wanted to warn you, especially at that corner where we kind of have everything joining together. So I'm going to take out a couple of these pins and just reposition them along the edge, because wasn't very happy with how the other side was turning out. So I'm going to work from the outside in, and then gently try to, if I need to place some gathers in with my pins, I can, or some slight pleating, I can manage that a little bit more and make it a little bit more even and consistent throughout this edge here. Again, when I roll that down, I just want to make sure that it's consistent, consistently falling right above that stitch line from the top side. And what you can probably see that I'm having a little bit of bulk that is occurring here. So I just want to try to give myself some even gathers or some even I guess excess fabric that will hopefully get eased in as I stitch. So I just want to make sure that it's even around. So I'm just giving myself a little bit of bubble as I continue to fold and move this fabric in. It's not a lot of bubble, just a little bit. And that's pretty thick in there, just because we got all those seam allowances. So just know that you might need to put a little oomph behind your pins when you go to pin this. And hopefully you can see on this video how I'm just gently putting in a little bit of excess folding along here. Then what I'm going to try to do, I'm just going to put my finger right in the middle there to give even, so make sure that it's all up in the air. Then I'm going to come down, try to come down right in the middle of that and put a pin in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to stitch in the ditch on the front side. So we have all these pins down, and what we want to do is we want to go right in that ditch of the seam line to go ahead and put that down. And your construction packet talks about doing a slip stitch, but you know, we've already done some slip stitching on this sample. We're ready to do some stitching in the ditch and just kind of be done with it. So we're going to go ahead and start our stitch line. Make sure that your stitch length is set, you know, about 2.5. And we're just going to slowly go along this ditch. My feed dogs don't want to be feeding me too much here. Make sure that since our pins are on the inside, what might happen is like the ball of your pin head here, it might run into your presser foot and cause it to not want to move. So you might just need to pull those pins out from the underside as you stitch in the ditch. So try to get your face real close and just slowly follow that seam line. And what you can do is you can gently kind of pull that seam open as you go to stitch. And I can feel that I'm approaching another pin, so I'm just going to come from the underside and pull that out. And I'm gently kind of opening that seam up with my fingers, and I can feel I'm approaching another pin. Just going to grab that, slowly stitch in the ditch. Alright. Oop, I don't think it will. Hopefully everything will stay in place. I think I pulled out the wrong pin there. Cross your fingers, right? Alright, slowly stitching, over halfway done, just stitching right in that seam line. And you want to make sure that none of your sleeve gets caught on the underneath side of the stitches. So just you know, check yourself every now and then while you're stitching along this line. Make sure that everything's flat. Nothing's gonna I guess need to be ripped out because it just accidentally got caught under those your presser foot and, you know, kind of fed through with the feed dogs of your sewing machine. Alright, so close. Keeping everything flat. And when I approach the end of the stitch in the ditch, I just want to do a quick, like, one thread back tack, come back forward, and be done. So raise up that needle and thread and trim those thread tails. And again, you know, if I was using black, the stitch would not be near as obvious, but it is. Because I'm using red, and you're just going to want to double check yourself, make sure that everything that you turned under was caught, and that there's no way to get in there, like there's no weird strange holes. And then what we're going to do is you can just flip up your your French cuff there. And in your construction packet, it talks about how you can put a buttonhole in if you'd like, but it's not required. I was going to have it be required, but then I noticed on the grade sheet that there's no spot for actually grading that. But you know, if you want to practice on putting a buttonhole in and you have time, that would be great, just to give yourself some more experience, and I can help you with placing and marking and just kind of recalling that step that we did. So your button and buttonhole would most likely go wherever you really want your fold to be at. Like if you want your fold, if you want to have a fairly tall French cuff, then your button and buttonhole would probably come closer to the bottom. But if you want to have, like, you know, about a half fold up, as long as it covers it, it just kind of depends on where you want that the cuff fold line to be, and then you can overlap it and put your button and buttonhole in. So, and then we have our opening there for the face placket, and we have our French cuff on there. So, and the French cuff differs from other ones because it flips up in the air. Other ones tend to lay down, so that's why it has to be extra tall so it can fold back on itself. So just make sure that you label this face placket with French cuff and place it in your binder and give yourself a pat on the back.